Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at 10 scary videos caught in Japan. Coming in at number 10 we have Parking Lot Spirit. So this one was uploaded at first by a parking lot operator. He claims one day when he was overlooking the parking lot he operates, he saw something strange. At first he thought it was a human being, but he says on the tape that he realized this creature was not moving like humans do. He said it moves, reappears, disappears, and its head never moves. He says it looks like a ghost or a spirit of a woman. He said that years ago in this parking lot, one woman did pass away. Apparently it was a case of a robbery gone wrong. But do you think her spirit is living in this underground car park? It's entirely possible when you look at the tape. And I have to say, this looks very realistic and scary. This even made its way onto Japanese national news, so it's worth taking a look. Next up is wheelchair. So there's nothing scarier than hospitals. Well, what about a hospital at night in Japan? Well, that's exactly what we have in this piece of footage. For the first few minutes of this tape, there's nothing special going on. It's simply the hallway of a hospital filmed at night. You see nurses wheeling people around in wheelchairs. You then see a lady walk into a room. But as she goes out of sight, a wheelchair comes around the corner. The only strange thing is, there's no one in the wheelchair. You may think it's just been pushed, but then look closely. What appears to be some kind of ghoul or spirit rises from the wheelchair. The lady from before then comes out and sees the wheelchair lying in the middle of the corridor. She's probably very confused, but she did not see the ghost as it vanished before she came back. You can see the ghost is kind of hunched over. Maybe it was the spirit of someone who was in a wheelchair who passed away. It is a hospital, and hospitals are said to be some of the most haunted places in the world. It only makes sense seeing as so many people lose their lives in hospitals. And while some say this could be fake, that woman's reaction and the wheelchair really are mysterious. Next up is phone booth. So in your city you may or may not have a lot of phone booths. In some cities they have taken these away, but in most Japanese cities there's a ton of phone booths. Well, one day a few teens in Japan decide to play a prank. They get the number of a phone booth and then call that number. They do this when people walk by so that the ringing of the phone scares them. Now, this is a pretty funny and innocent prank, but after a while things get creepy. The kids are on a bridge watching people get scared by the phone. Some curious people even answer the phone. But then one man in all black enters the phone booth and picks up the phone. This is weird because they hadn't even rang the phone. Then the teenager's phone rings and it's the man on the other side. They look over and the man is now vanished. They then go back to the phone booth and the phone begins to ring. Then when the kids go to answer the phone, the face of some kind of demon can be seen in the phone booth. The guy on the phone doesn't realize, but the cameraman instantly notices and runs away. The rest of their friends then follow and they simply run without saying anything else. The scary face has not been explained, but it's likely that of the man's. This really is terrifying and I'm not sure what that scary face is doing. It kind of looks like half human, half clown. This is a really unique ghost video, and it kind of reminds me of the White Boy, which is a Japanese urban legend. Next up is bike ghost. So this one took place late one night in a Japanese city. One guy leaving work enters a bike parking lot and gets his bike. However, as he's unlocking his bike, one of the bikes behind him falls over. He turns around and goes back to see if anyone's there. But after thoroughly looking around, he picks up the bike and goes back to his bike. He then grabs his bike and it looks like he's leaving, but as you can see, a woman walks in. You may assume this is just another lady getting her bike. But as you can clearly see in the video, the man simply walks through the woman. That's right, the man couldn't see this woman as he doesn't react and walks through her. As the lady gets closer to the camera, it glitches out. The camera returns to normal as the woman passes by and you can see the man leaving. But he had no clue that he literally walked through a lady. It's very common for ghosts to disrupt electrics, so it's no wonder the camera buzzed like this when she walked past. I wonder if this spirit was connected to the bike falling over before. Maybe she was trying to send some kind of message and wishes she could communicate with the living. Whatever's going on here, this video is very scary and I bet the guy's not going to be locking his bike up here ever again. Next up, we have vending machine ghost. If you've watched any of my videos about Japan before, you'll know that the Japanese love vending machines. They have vending machines for everything, from hot meals to umbrellas and underpants. But sometimes in some cities in Japan, people steal from the vending machines. That's why they put cameras on the vending machines, much like an ATM. Well, one day a camera is recording a bunch of people getting things from a vending machine. You can see the people entering in their codes, getting their items and leaving. But that's when one man in a red hoodie approaches. He buys his things as normal, but when he walks away from the vending machine, a spirit can be seen behind him. What appears to be the ghost of a woman is right behind him this entire time. You can't make out her face, but she's got black hair and a white robe. She's transparent, and as the guy leaves, she also disappears. It makes me wonder, maybe this guy is a ghost as well. Or perhaps this was the ghost of someone he knew and she was trying to get his attention. This video brings up so many questions. Who knows, maybe this woman was victim to a vending machine accident and she passed away. Now perhaps her spirit lurks around this vending machine forever. But whatever's going on here, it's very creepy and mysterious. Leave a comment letting me know your thoughts. Next up is Park Ghost. So this is a very scary video filmed in a Japanese park, and it's so scary it went viral in Japan. It was even played on popular Japanese TV programs. And in case you're wondering what those faces are in the top right corner, it's a celebrity's face. This is called a wipe and it's very popular in many Japanese TV shows. It's basically a celebrity reacting to whatever's going on screen. One night a couple are walking their dog in a park. They're filming their dog and saying how cute it is. But then something seems wrong as the dog is barking. The dog then walks around and seems to be sniffing something out. It then walks over to a tree and as you can see there's a terrifying face amongst the trees. It looks like a very pale woman's face with very dark eyes. But is this even a woman or something from another world? You can see the celebrities reacting to this freak out. One woman screams and even looks like she's about to cry. I'm not sure who these Japanese celebrities are, but maybe if you live in Japan you can let me know. And also try and let me know what you think that scary face is. Is this a fake video they just made for the celebrities? Or is it, as they claim, a real video caught by a couple in a Japanese park? Next up, we have Driver Ghost. So this is from a security camera outside a store on a Japanese road. There's actually two surveillance cameras here filming two different angles. One of them is fixed on a black car and the other one is rotating from left to right. If you're just looking at both cameras and not really paying attention, one seems to fall over to the ground. It then crackles and the transmission ends on it. Now you may be wondering, why would this happen? Perhaps there's a logical, non-scary reason, like the camera just fell down. But if you look closely in camera number 1, you can actually see a scary face appear in the black car. And I do not think this is human, as the face appears to come from nowhere. The store owner who owns these cameras realized one of his cameras was broken when he came in the next morning. After watching the footage, he thought the camera had just fallen down. But when he looked really close, he saw the face and his jaw dropped. Let me know what you think about this very terrifying security footage. Next up, we have Girl on the Road. This is another piece of footage from a surveillance camera, and it's located on the corner of a very busy Japanese street. As you can see, people are walking around on this rainy day with a bunch of umbrellas. But as one man walks along the street, the ghost of a young girl appears. She turns around and looks directly at this guy, but he doesn't seem to notice her and just walks on by. Two other people with umbrellas then walk right up to this girl. But as they do, they walk right through her, and as they do that, she disappears. This leads me to believe this girl could not be seen by regular human beings. For whatever reason, she was picked up on camera. It's true, the camera really does catch everything. But what do you think of this very creepy ghost girl? On Japanese social media, some say a girl passed away on this road. She was hit by a car while crossing the road on this very corner. And now looking at this footage, it seems her spirit haunts this road. She wasn't doing anything too evil or scary, but just her being there is enough to make me never walk on this road. Next up, we have Haunted House. So this one is not surveillance footage. Instead, this is actually a home video filmed by a mom of her young girl. A young girl is eating dinner and her mother is filming her and the surroundings of the house. The young girl then says, "Who's that man?" The mother looks in her direction and she says, "There's no one there, what are you talking about?" But then as she pans the camera back to the young girl, you can actually see the figure of a man in the mirror. It appears only the child and mirror pick up this ghost, but the woman can't see it. Many say that children and animals do have a special affinity for seeing ghosts. But for whatever reason, when you're an adult, that ability vanishes. Do you think this young girl really saw this ghost? I don't see any explanation, as it was clearly in the mirror. And I don't think this girl was acting up for the camera either, she seemed very sincere. But comment below what you think about this scary ghost video. Ten scary videos caught on GoPro camera. Coming in at number 10, we have Creature. So this piece of GoPro footage was caught by an amateur bike rider. The cyclist goes by the name Bexon Production. One day he was cycling around on a trail near his home. He was with a friend, but his friend had gone up ahead. Bexon was behind his friend and he cycled up an alleyway. But as he was going through the alleyway, a mysterious creature leapt out right in front of his bike. Bexon described this as some kind of dog-monkey hybrid. If you check out the footage, it does kind of resemble a monkey. It certainly jumps like one, except it doesn't look like a monkey whatsoever. It's got no hair and is grey like a space alien. Is this Roger from American Dad come to life? Whatever this grey creature is, it really scared Bexon. There's a noise right after this creature hits the floor. Either it's a noise made by the creature or a noise from Bexon's bike as he swerves so he doesn't hit this creature. Or it could have been Bexon almost shouting by this creature jumping in front of his bike. This was a near miss and very scary for him. But what do you think this grey creature really could be? Next up is Gas Station Shadow. So this footage was caught by a biker named Ben S. Ben always rides a GoPro when he's riding his bike for various safety reasons and also to capture interesting things. One day he was doing something very mundane, simply getting some more gas. After he filled up his bike, he was using the ATM to pay for the gas. That was when a shadow passed by right behind Ben. At first he thought someone was walking up behind him, so he turned around. But he then realized no one was there. If you slow this footage down, you can see it was definitely the shadow of a humanoid. And the reason I say humanoid and not human is because many people think this could have been a shadow monster. Shadow monsters are things many people have caught on camera before. But do you think that's what Ben saw at this gas station? What's strange is you actually see the shadow disappear before it even passes past Ben. Now, shadows can sometimes be complex, and others have said maybe this was something in the background like a plastic bag in the wind. But if you look closely, this is clearly the outline of a human-like being. Next up is Great White. One thing that's cool about GoPros is they're waterproof. This means that people like divers and swimmers can take their GoPro with them to record their dives and swims. But of course, in the deep, vast oceans, scary things lie beneath. And what could be scarier than a great white shark? One day a man was diving off the coast of South Africa. He was deep down in the sea and recording his dive using his GoPro. That was when the man named Johan saw a great white shark appear right next to him. Great white sharks can move at ridiculously fast speeds. So it's no wonder that he was caught off guard and very scared by this great white. As the great white passes, you actually hear him scream as he's terrified for his life. Luckily, he did seem to have a harpoon with him which he didn't have to use. But a harpoon is not always so effective against great whites. They move fast and could easily dodge it. And just imagine how scared this guy was being literally inches away from a great white shark. Thankfully, he not only made it out with his life, but also with amazing footage of his dive. Next up is Bear Chase. So we've just seen one very scary animal encounter underwater. Well, here's a very scary animal encounter above ground. One day, a guy going by the name Mr. McGregor was cycling out in the woods. He was riding around and it seems like quite a pleasant ride. But on his trail, as he glances to the right, you can see a massive brown bear start chasing him. As anyone would, he picks up a lot of speed and begins riding away. He does glance back quite a few times and you can see the bear chasing him very fast. You can also hear him terrified, breathing and panting heavily. Eventually, this guy does not get very lucky and a massive branch is in his way. Instead of going around it, he has no time and has to dump his bike and jump over the branch. He then runs away from the bear on foot and hides behind a tree. Miraculously, this actually worked and the bear didn't catch up with him. Bears can be very, very dangerous. If you ever see a bear, you should try and lie down and pretend that you're not alive. But seeing as the guy just had a massive bike race with the bear, I doubt the bear would buy that he wasn't alive. Luckily though, this guy made it out of the woods and out of this situation alive. Next up is Poltergeist. So this footage was captured on a GoPro by someone going by the name of Mellow Bird. Mellow Bird is actually one of the most famous people to have a poltergeist in their home. They've had many viral paranormal videos of ghosts and poltergeists in their house. One day he set his GoPro up on a rotator and left it overnight. When he looked at the footage the night later, he saw something very strange. His kitchen door opened but nobody walked in. Then one of the kitchen chairs at the kitchen table fell over. Most people would be terrified if they looked at their GoPro footage and saw this happening in their own home. But this guy's actually known for his poltergeists in his house. If you check out his channel, he's got many videos of similar things. Yeah, if my house was haunted, I definitely would not be doing that. But I guess Mellow Bird simply doesn't mind sharing his home with a bunch of ghosts. Next up is Real Subway Surfer. So I'm sure we're all familiar with the popular mobile game Subway Surfers. It's where you're trying to outrun a train by running down the tracks. Well, one day someone tried out real-life subway surfing, except they weren't running away from the trains. Instead, they were surfing on the trains themselves. This happened in Vienna, Austria, and was filmed by a guy going by Sky Joker. As a train pulls up to a platform, he nonchalantly hops on. He hangs onto the back and looks around all different kind of areas. Some of what he sees is very scenic, but it's all very scary. At various stops, he jumps off the train and onto different trains. This guy's only 22, and I just hope he lives to an old age. I really wouldn't be surprised if he was injured by doing this, but he is a thrill seeker and adrenaline junkie. And he says in his description, no one should ever try this. That I can agree with. Next up is Jellyfish Encounter. As kids, we're taught by cartoons and books that jellyfish are cute, squishy characters. But in reality, jellyfish are seriously dangerous and can take lives. One day, a boy named Daniel Lee was swimming out in the ocean. That was when he saw various jellyfish, which are very dangerous, swimming really near him. He managed to dodge their tentacles, which are electric. Thankfully, he wasn't buzzed once by any of these jellyfish, but if he was, it could have been very bad. He was in the ocean, and if some electric shocks sent him into a state, he could have drowned. Thankfully, he was fine and managed to dodge all of the tentacles. But not every swimmer is as good as Daniel, and it makes you think if the wrong person was there at the wrong time and wasn't as skilled, they could have been done for. Next up is train dodge. So we've already seen one very scary train video caught on GoPro, but instead of train surfing, we're going to look at train dodging. Train dodging is where you stand in front of a train and then move out of the way at the last minute. It may sound crazy and stupid to you, but to some people it's a real rush. They love the thrill and adrenaline, and Neil Manley is one of those people. One night, Neil and various friends went into this train tunnel. They were standing on the railways and near the trains. And then when the trains go by, they stand against the tunnel wall and lie next to the tracks. Thankfully and amazingly, these guys all made it out absolutely okay. But I can see so much potential for this going wrong. And you can see his friends screaming in fear as this is happening. Neil's videos get thousands of views of amazed people. But I wonder how many of those people are actually brave enough and or crazy enough to really do this. To be honest, I hope none, as this should never be repeated. At 10 scary videos caught in schools. Coming in at number 10, we have water fountain. So there's nothing more scary than the school water fountain. They're usually pretty grimy and gross. Or at least they were at my school. Well, early one morning in 2012, a student came in before class had began. As you can see, she walks over to her locker and is getting ready. She then goes to tie up her hair, not knowing about her surroundings. It does seem like absolutely no one's around. She's in early before school starts. But look closely at the water fountain when she goes to tie up her hair. As you can see, there seems to be some kind of outline right by the water fountain. The girl turns around and it seems to vanish. But then when the girl checks out her hair in her locker mirror, the thing comes back. I'm not sure if this is a ghost or a spirit. It does actually appear to lean into the water fountain as if it's taking a drink. Maybe it's the spirit of a student who used to use that same water fountain. I'm not sure if something terrible happened in the school or if this school is haunted in any way. Trust me, some of the ones on this list actually are. But for this one it remains a mystery, so let me know in the comments, is this a ghost or something else? Next up is Haunted Bus. So this one doesn't take place in a school, instead it's in a school bus, but I think that still counts. Also, this is a pretty wild clip, so I have to include it on this list. This video was caught in 2011 in the morning on a school bus security camera. This took place in the school parking lot just after the kids were dropped off. However, this footage went viral and many say this bus is haunted. That is because despite no one being on the bus, the handbrake comes loose and the bus starts rolling. This is strange as it's not on a hill, instead it's parked on a flat parking lot. Eventually the bus does bump into another vehicle and it does come to a stop. But after this happens, it sounds like you can hear screaming. Some say this is the ghosts of children who passed away on this bus. Perhaps the bus was involved in some kind of terrible accident. I really don't know, but this video is very paranormal and scary. And I really would not be surprised if this was a haunted school bus. Next up is Girl Ghost. This footage is from a college security camera in South Africa. It wasn't recorded during school hours, instead it was taken at near 11 o'clock at night. If you look at the doorway, you can make out some kind of smoke or mist coming out of it. Then that mist forms the shape of a human being. It almost looks like a girl who could attend the school. And to prove this even further, the spirit walks into a classroom. Despite this being called a college in South Africa, it's actually a high school to those in America. So could this be the ghost of a high school student walking around? Maybe it's the ghost of a student who went to this college who passed on. What do you think about this very scary and mysterious footage? Next up is shaking school. As a kid, did you ever wish your school would burn down or fall to the ground? I'm sure we all dreamed of that and the days off we would have if it happened. But one day it really did happen at a school and it was not what anyone would ever wish for. This one took place at the Yangfeng Middle School in China. In the middle of the day in January of 2015, a 5.0 earthquake hit the school. This began shaking the school and causing minor damage. More than 600 students were inside the school at that time and they all had to run out and flee. The event was caught on CCTV and you can see the students and teachers running out. People are actually playing ball games calmly outside. That's because this earthquake only reached the building. If you were standing outside you wouldn't have noticed, but standing in a building you would have. It's very scary this happened, but luckily everyone made it out okay. Next up is Surveillance Scrambler. When it comes to paranormal activity videos, they can sometimes be faked. But police have said there's no way this video is faked. Not only will it be illegal to fake, but it would also be technologically impossible. This took place at Pocatello High School in Idaho. As you can see in the footage, there's a large, shadowy figure hanging around near the water fountain. It then goes through various doors and goes up and down various hallways. But what's strange is, this ghost or spirit seems to be messing with their surveillance cameras. All of the surveillance cameras in the school are flashing on and off. This is not the lighting of the school, instead it's actually the CCTV. It seems hard to believe, but apparently the lights were fine, it's the cameras that were freaking out. They actually brought in some official paranormal investigators and they said this was real. They even called the police and the police said there's no way this surveillance footage could have been faked. The software they use actually have methods so you can't fake surveillance footage. This is for legal reasons, as surveillance footage is often used in court. So this isn't edited and really did happen, but what exactly was happening? Do you think the surveillance cameras glitching out was related to the person or spirit near the water fountain? I think they're definitely linked together, but I'm not sure how. Next up is marriage troubles. Having a dispute or argument in your relationship is very normal, but some people handle it in very evil ways. One such person is Cedric Anderson, who was having marriage troubles with his teacher wife. One morning, Cedric walked into the elementary school his wife worked at. The Californian elementary school didn't think anything of him signing his name in and walking in. After all, he is a husband of one of their teachers and they knew this. After this video ends, he actually goes into the classroom of his wife Karen. He then fires 9 bullets at Karen, taking her life. And then he fires one more on himself. Now, that's already terrible enough, but 2 student lives were taken in the crossfire. Police later found a note in Cedric's home saying he needed closure. This is a very eerie note and it's such a haunting piece of footage. Even though you don't see what happened next, it's scary seeing how calm he is walking in and signing his name. Next up is cheerleading ghost. So if you watch this video, you're likely very distracted by all these cheerleaders dancing. They are believed to be performing some kind of routine and this was taken in Mexico. However, you have to look behind the cheerleaders to see what's so scary about this clip. As you can see, some kind of dark spirit can be seen running behind them. This isn't something that was just put on top of this video as it does go behind the people. Some have said this could have simply been a shadow, but there's absolutely no light source to create this shadow. Could this be a haunted school and the spirits walking around checking out these cheerleaders? I'm really not sure what's going on here, so type in the comments what you think's happening. Next up is football ghost. If you go to an American high school, American football is likely a big part of everyday activities. Well, one night in Los Angeles, a high school was having a Halloween football game. Many students and parents were in attendance and many were filming the events. One mom who went there named Karen filmed much of the events. But she didn't look at her footage until a month later, and when she did, her jaw dropped. She believes she saw the ghost of a former high school football player going in for one last touchdown. As you can see, a ghostly figure runs at superhuman speed across the field. This is not a human being and looks like a ghost or spirit to me. One of the players on the team playing did actually pass away years before this, so perhaps it's his ghost going in to score one last touchdown. Next up is canteen ghost. So this was taken in the Garland, Texas high school after hours. 3 students actually snuck into their school when the school was closed. I'm not sure exactly what they were doing, but they were in their school's canteen. Suddenly, a bizarre noise interrupts their conversation. One of the girls then notices something behind their school's soda machine. The cameraman and the other friend do not realize what this is and they say, "What are you talking about?" But then they all realize a pale ghostly figure has been watching them this entire time. Sadly, the camera quality is not great and I would have loved to see this in real life. But the kids who filmed this clip actually went to a high school where someone did pass away in the canteen. Years ago, a girl did actually pass away in that very same canteen they're standing in. Perhaps it's her ghost or maybe this is something else. Really, I have no idea. But be sure to leave a comment letting me know your thoughts. If you guys want more amazing videos, then check out my second channel. It's full of amazing videos and there'll be a link to it on screen in a moment. But as always, thanks for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now, leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.